Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. In a town where secrets lingered like the morning fog, the disappearance of a young woman set off a chain of events that would unravel a tight-knit community. The quaint streets of Lakeview, lined with charming homes and manicured lawns, belied the darker undercurrents that ran through its history. It was a place that many called home, but for some, it masked hidden truths. On the brisk evening of October 4th, 2019, Emily Carter, a beloved local schoolteacher, vanished without a trace after attending a charity gala at the community center. The event had drawn the usual crowd: friends, family, and acquaintances who shared laughs and clinked glasses, blissfully unaware that one among them would soon find themselves at the center of an investigation that would shake the town to its core. As the clock struck midnight, panic set in. Emily's absence was noted first by her best friend, Laura, who, after the evening concluded, returned to their shared apartment only to find Emily's side of the bed untouched. As the night wore on, Laura's worry grew into anxiety, leading her to call the police. Responding deputies combed the gala's location, scoured the nearby woods, but found nothing in the way of clues. The investigation that followed became a media sensation, gripping the town and sparking debates in living rooms over dinner tables. As rumors swirled and theories proliferated, the search for Emily morphed from a missing person case into a deeper exploration of the community's fabric, a fabric woven with threads of suspicion, rivalry, and haunting pasts. The victim. Emily Carter was a light born from the softness of her surroundings. She had managed to create an impression that belied her age. The youngest child in a family of 5, her laughter often echoed through the walls of the modest Carter home, filling any silence with warmth. Attending Lakeview High, she excelled academically, engaging in various extracurricular activities that showcased her multifaceted spirit. A degree from the local university further fueled her vigor, prompting her return to Lakeview as a dedicated schoolteacher, where she inspired both children and parents alike. But behind her bright demeanor lay layers of unspoken challenges. Emily grappled with the pressures of perfectionism, driven by a lifelong desire to not only meet expectations, but to transcend them. Friends sometimes noted her compulsive need to please others, her chameleon-like adaptability to any social situation. Even her best friend, Laura, noted the strain as Emily delivered lesson plans and volunteer projects with unwavering dedication. Yet, amidst her obligations, there was an underlying darkness and anxiety that often found her pacing under the stars long after others had surrendered to sleep. As news of her disappearance rippled through the community, stories from those who knew her began to surface, each recollection painting a contrasting image of buoyancy and fragility. A neighbor spoke of their shared Sunday morning brunches, the way Emily would listen without judgment. Another acquaintance recalled her generosity, never missing an opportunity to lend a helping hand. This duality only fueled the search for clues, as investigators endeavored to distinguish Emily's public persona from the private struggles that danced just beneath the surface. As daylight broke over Lakeview, it became clear the search for Emily was also a search for understanding. The crime scene. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the evening following Emily's disappearance, the community center morphed from a festive venue into the epicenter of a gripping investigation. Hushed conversations filled the air as the police cordoned off the area. yellow tape marking boundaries that once symbolized laughter and camaraderie. Inside, the echoes of the gala seemed to linger, the decorations still adorning tables, while lingering aromas of catered food hung in the air like memories suspended in time. Detectives arrived, their expressions steely and focused, each taking measure of the scene with a practiced eye. They noted the details, the vibrant balloons that had once delighted attendees, now faded against the escalating tension. Crumpled napkins strewn on tables and half-empty glasses left behind bore witness to an evening that had ended abruptly. Clues that seemed innocuous at first glance were scrutinized under the unforgiving light of the investigation. Nearby, a janitor unwittingly became a reluctant witness. Having arrived at the center to clean up after the festivities, he had noticed odd foot traffic outside, a figure lingering just before guests began to leave. The janitor, with no intentions of involving himself in the chaos that followed, described the figure's actions, noting a tawny jacket and hurried demeanor that struck him as out of place. As detectives combed through the center, they found Emily's personal belongings, a silver locket at the foot of the dais and a glass shard, stark against the pristine floor, hinting at something more sinister than a mere absence. Each discovery whispered ominous possibilities, fueling speculation, while investigators noted the urgency of the situation. With no solid leads, time felt perilously short, and every second counted in the fight to find Emily. The early investigation. As the investigation barreled forward into its second day, the urgency intensified. Detective Sarah Jensen, a seasoned officer with years of experience, was assigned to lead the case. Her reputation for untangling intricate webs of deception preceded her. Yet she understood that there were few strands more fragile than those woven by fear and uncertainty within a community like Lakeview. With a notepad in hand, Jensen convened a meeting with her team at the precinct, poring over witness statements and timelines. Each from the gala had been interviewed, but the narratives bore striking differences. The inconsistencies hung heavy in the air, ripe for analysis. Laura's account exhibited a panicked energy, focused on her last interaction with Emily, bubbly and animated, promising a fun evening ahead. Other friends recalled seeing Emily engage in conversations, seemingly carefree. Curtains of doubt obscured the picture they were trying to assemble. Detectives also began reaching deeper into Emily's life. A visit to the local school revealed a dedicated but shy woman, backed by students who looked up to her as a mentor. Colleagues painted her as responsible yet burdened, with whispers of an abusive relationship that clouded Emily's past. However, striking connections between her personal troubles and her mysterious disappearance remained elusive. Meanwhile, technology played an essential role. The team scrutinized Emily's digital footprint, searching her social media accounts for messages or hints that could illuminate her state of mind. While the investigation was a race against time, with each tick of the clock, the likelihood of finding Emily alive dwindled. The sense of urgency resonated throughout the precinct, grounding the detectives in their mission to piece together a case that was as perplexing as it was urgent. The dead ends. Days turned into frantic weeks as the search for Emily persisted, each passing moment only deepening the shadows of despair that loomed over Lakeview. The initial excitement of discovery and speculation faded, replaced by a hushed solemnity that permeated the town. Detective Sarah Jensen remained diligent, but every lead turned into a dead end, like a path that twisted endlessly into itself, offering no escape. A thorough interview with Emily's estranged boyfriend Sam revealed an emotional man caught between nostalgia and regret. He claimed to have broken up with Emily months prior, citing her emotional unavailability and murmurs of a controlling nature. The revelation only raised more questions. He was cooperative and genuine, but offered no concrete alibi for the night she disappeared. Though suspicions lingered, investigators lacked tangible evidence linking him to her disappearance. Next, Jensen and her team focused their efforts on the vague description of the jacketed figure outside the community center. Engaged with local convenience stores, scrutinizing security footage from the night of the gala. Hours of video revealed only faces, blurred by smoky lighting and eluding clarity. Indeed, every review led to more shadows than insights, obscuring rather than elucidating. Frustration gnawed at the team, palpable in the dim lighting of the precinct as the days began to pile on, one after another. Every witness interviewed presented mazes of contradictions, and social media inquiries often returned empty rhetoric. Rumors flared, stories morphed, and confusion reigned, the exact kind of turmoil that often complicates a criminal investigation. Yet beneath it all, Jensen kept searching. With each dead end, she still felt a flicker of hope. This case was not just about solving a mystery. It was about finding Emily, reclaiming a life that had meant so much to so many. And somehow, with each new twist in the investigation, she felt closer to that goal. A break in the case. Just as the case began to stagnate, a break emerged from the shadows. It was a chilly evening when Detective Sarah Jensen received an unexpected call from a local resident. A retired postal worker named Frank. Frank had been out for his nightly walk and recalled seeing something concerning 2 nights after Emily's disappearance. His words were careful, as if he feared revealing more than he understood. He described a set of headlights appearing along a rarely traveled back road, casting beams across the serenity of the wooded area surrounding Lakeview. It was not uncommon to see headlights on the road, but what caught his attention was the sudden absence of sound in the usually vibrant forest. As he took refuge behind a thick cluster of trees, he claimed to have spotted a figure unfamiliar and hurried loading what appeared to be a large duffel bag into a rusty pickup truck. Frank's account sent Jensen's heart racing. She wasted no time in following the lead, rapidly assembling a team to scour the area surrounding the described location. The woods, dense with foliage and mystery, whispered ancient secrets, yet remained eerily silent. They combed through underbrush, retracing Frank's steps, the chill of the approaching winter wrapping around them like an uninvited cloak. As the investigation team fanned out, one officer stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin that blended seamlessly into the environment. Peering inside, the officer found signs of life-faded newspapers from the past, remnants of personal belongings, and most notably, a small silver locket lying conspicuously on the floor. Its engravings were unmistakable. As news of the discovery rippled through the precinct, a current of hope surged. Would this lead them closer to Emily? Or was it simply another piece in a complex puzzle? Jensen gathered her team, fueled by a renewed sense of urgency, determined to pursue every angle revealed by this potential breakthrough. The suspect. In the wake of the silver locket's discovery, the atmosphere surrounding the investigation shifted dramatically. Detective Sarah Jensen collected the locket, its gleam a beacon of renewed hope, but also a grave reminder of what it could imply. As DNA and fingerprint analysis were expedited, The precinct buzzed with a growing energy. This could be the pivotal moment they had been waiting for. In tandem with the laboratory work, Jensen and her team took a closer look at Frank's sighting of the mysterious figure. Images of possible suspects swirled among the detectives. They reached out to local businesses to inquire about surveillance footage that might have captured the figure or the pickup truck he mentioned. The investigation deepened as names surfaced, including a man known in the area as Marty Wilson, a transient, who often wandered into Lakeview's outskirts. Marty had a convoluted history, a patchwork life filled with minor infractions, but nothing explicitly violent. Yet, he was noted for his erratic behavior and occasional run-ins with the law. Friends and acquaintances painted a portrait of someone whose volatility left them wary. A witness recalled seeing him near the community center around the time of Emily's disappearance. His demeanor unsettling. Jensen initiated a conversation with Marty, her approach firm yet compassionate. He was vocal, detailing his past and lamenting his circumstances, but avoidance clouded the corners of his expressions. He spoke of being in the vicinity during the gala, but insisted he had simply been passing through, seeking shelter, weaving a narrative that teetered on the edge of believability. As the detectives meticulously observed him, subtle changes in his mannerisms pointed to defensiveness. His tone turned sharper when questioned about the wooded area or other resident sightings. Was it fear or guilt that lined his answers? Jensen couldn't tell, but the lingering suspicion began to solidify. Marty could be the key to unraveling the mystery surrounding Emily's fate. With their sights set on him as a potential suspect, the investigation began drawing closer to uncovering the truth, intensified by the prospect that Emily's fate could still be altered if they acted decisively. The trial. The courtroom buzzed with a palpable energy, tension woven into every crevice of the aged wood paneling. News of the trial had drawn the community together, pulling them from their busy lives to bear witness to the culmination of their shared anxieties. The trial of Marty Wilson had begun, and the stakes felt immeasurable. As the jury filed into the room, Detective Sarah Jensen sat amid the crowd, her heart steady yet anxious. She had devoted her every waking moment to this case, and now the burden of Emily's fate rested in someone else's hands-on outcome. Shaped by the evidence collected, the testimonies given, and the emotional scars etched into the town's collective consciousness, the prosecution laid forth a compelling narrative, weaving together Frank's eyewitness account with the discovery of Emily's locket in Marty's possession. They framed him as the prime suspect, suggesting a pattern of unstable behavior that may have led to heightened aggression, leaving little doubt in the jurors' minds. With every punctuated phrase, the weight of their words dug deep, igniting flickers of sympathy and outrage amongst the attendees. Marty's defense team, however, was relentless. They poked and prodded at the evidence, pointing out the lack of direct knowledge or motive that linked him to Emily's disappearance. They highlighted character witnesses who spoke of his struggles but insisted on his righteous presumption of innocence until proven guilty. As the days turned into nights, each witness painted a layer of complexity, revealing more about Emily's life in the days she disappeared. Whispers of her relationships, her personal demons, and her capacity for forging connections filled the air-rock factor, acting as a testament to her flaws. Jensen observed quietly, knowing that every word spoken held the potential to either protect or betray the memories of a life that burned too bright, now turned into flickers of hope in a court seeking justice. All she could do was trust in the process, anchored by the belief that one way or another, Emily would not be forgotten, and perhaps clarity would finally emerge from the shadow. The aftermath. With the conclusion of the trial, Lakeview found itself awash in a torrent of emotion. The jury's verdict had reverberated through the small town Marty. Wilson was found guilty of the kidnapping and murder of Emily Carter. The weight of the decision settled heavily upon the community, an inescapable shroud of grief balancing the relief of closure. The end of the trial was only the beginning of a deeper reckoning for those who had once joked and danced together just weeks prior. Detective Sarah Jensen attended the post-trial gathering at the school gymnasium, which had been transformed into a sanctuary for sharing memories of Emily and reflecting on the impact of her loss. Tables adorned with photos of the spirited teacher bore witness to her vibrant spirit, serving as a poignant reminder of the life that had once filled the halls with laughter. As the community gathered, the air was thick with a blend of mourning and hope. Students shared stories of the lessons Emily had imparted, her dedication to not just teaching academics, but instilling values of kindness, respect, and resilience. Parents spoke about her outreach in the community and her unwavering commitment to nurturing future generations. Yet the scars of the tragic events laced through their recollections. Conversations wandered into darker alleys as some expressed anger toward those who had turned a blind eye to Emily's struggles, weaving a narrative of accountability into the fabric of grief. The townspeople grappled with questions that would haunt them long after the dust had settled. They missed something vital. In the stillness, Jensen observed the strength of the community as it began to reclaim itself, fostering resilience in the wake of tragedy. They were forever altered, marked by a collective loss and a renewed commitment to the bonds Emily had forged among them. Lakeview, now etched in memory and sorrow, faced the future with a shared determination and resolve to honor Emily's legacy, not only as an unforgettable teacher, but as a reminder of the importance of looking out for one another in a world too often clouded by silence. Reflection. In the days that followed the trial, Detective Sarah Jensen found herself standing at the edge of Lakeview, the expanse of water reflecting both the calm and chaos that lingered within. The ripples danced delicately on the surface, and she resonated with that stillness, both soothing and fraught with the weight of what had unfolded. Around her, the town buzzed, but the laughter felt cautious, each sound tainted by the echoes of a recent past. She often revisited memories of Emily, recalling the vibrance and passion that radiated from her in every interaction, a beacon of hope. Extinguished too soon, many in the community still struggled with their retribution against fate, torn between their grief and the newfound clarity of their priorities. Jensen turned her thoughts inward, considering the lessons that emerged from this tragedy, the distinctive importance of vigilance, empathy, and connection. Each person had the power to impact their community, to be the protector or the nurturer, thereby shaping the fabric of their lives. As she gazed at the lake, Jensen knew that moving forward would be part of the healing process. Lakeview was forged anew, embracing the complex layers of both joy and sorrow, ultimately pledging to honor Emily's legacy by cultivating a community that cherished every soul.